Dantes played ADC for 400 games and got banned. Here's the brutal truth. Yeah, let's show me Dantes. I mean, my prediction is that he buys tank items on ADC and dies 10 times a game still, even though he bought tank items. So yeah, let's.
If you've never played ADC before, then by the end of this video, you'll feel like you have.
I have. It's just to be clear.
For the last 3 weeks, I've been playing on a fresh account where I've gone through all the elos from Iron all the way up until Diamond, playing only ADC.
Okay, I want to see that graph again. So looks like, you know, a bronze, silver, gold. I mean, he's challenger player, right? He's gonna get through that easily. But then he hits emerald, diamond, boom. Diamond, emerald is where he's kind of stuck. Like emerald 1, diamond 4, d4 seems to be where he's stuck at right now. And before you ask, but Tony, he's got 55% win rate. It means he's climbing, right? No. Win rate shows the past, not the present or future. He had 55% win rate because, sorry, like let's just ignore the second part of this graph. I want to look at the first part here when he's climbing hard. He probably had like 60 plus 70% win rate, right? But as he gets closer to his like true rank, based on his strategies using like tank items on ADC, for example, in his playstyle, it's kind of like if he keeps playing now, his win rate will be 50%. It's only 55% right now because it carried, this is what carried the win rate, right? So I think right now with his playstyle, he's just stuck diamond. I thought he would make to master playing like that, but that's it, like low master D1-ish maximum. I didn't think he would do even more. I guess D4 was the limit right now.
Only ADC. Throughout that time, I've never duoed a single time, I've never played with any other player, and I have only locked in stereotypical bot lane picks. Apart from the 4 games I played Dr. Mundo, of course. And yeah,
he had to farm the Dr. Mundo, you know, the alloys push content. You gotta farm it, you know?
After having a day that felt like a fever dream and ending almost every single game, I did end up getting rank restricted as well.
What happened? Tell me.
So, what I'm going to do today for you guys is I'm going to give you guys my unfiltered experience as an ADC player and really let you guys know what playing the role is actually like.
Oh no. I think he's gonna sell to bullshit, but let's see. Right? So honestly, like, I don't hate him. I support him. He's trying to play the role in a different way, trying to defy the meta. I think that's amazing. But I feel like he's kind of baiting people into making bad decisions, right? But we'll see, right?
To start things off, I haven't played lane in years. The last time I was a laner was back in Season 10 when I was a lane Hecarim one-trick and I used to play Hecarim mid and top. I was able to hit a peak of Grandmaster 300 LP, but every champion I played besides Hecarim had a legitimate 30% win rate. And that's just for laning. When it comes to playing ADC, the last time I consistently played ADC was back in Season 5 when I used to be a Nard top and a Jinx bot 2-trick.
Wait. Bro, describe me. In Season 8, I was playing like Jinx bot lane, and then I remember my off-roll was top lane. And in Season 8, I hit Diamond for the first time, Diamond 5. It was with Gnar top. Bro, he's describing me, what? It's kind of funny.
So, as you can tell, going into this challenge, I didn't really know what to expect. My thoughts were that ADC was an easy role, piloted by crybabies that would just get mad when their support left lane, and as a result, I thought that if I just played a bunch...
Before that, ADCs cry about the support just as much as mid laners and top laners complain about their jungler. Yeah, that's all I have to say. I'm just saying, okay?
Games, played mechanically well, which I knew I was able to do on Hecarim, and then also built items that increase survivability. I thought I'd be good. My approach to playing ADC was that of a bruiser player's mindset of what I don't want to see when I see an ADC on the enemy team.
Really? Like, don't you want to see a tanky enemy ADC that cannot kill you? I feel like that's cool. You just build damage and you kill the enemy ADC that can't kill you. I think that's cool. It's kind of how I see it. I wish I was against him in the enemy team. It's like a free win, you know? Because I feel like what he's getting wrong the most is the fact that he's relying on defenses too much. When you play Hecarim, you're melee, you're getting in there. You're getting dirty. But when you play ADC, your job is to deal damage without taking damage. That's the balance. That's the role. That's the concept. And I think he doesn't really realize that. That's what they're supposed to do. It's that you can't rely on survivability because everybody has more survivability. And if you don't have damage, well, I mean, why are you playing ADC? Right? Go play Hecarim, you know?
If I see somebody building Berserker's Greaves and a bunch of crit items, I'm happy. Why? Because they're easy to kill.
They're easy to kill because you catch them off guard. You get on top of them. But a good player, a good ADC player, will go full glass cannon and position in such a way that you with Hecarim can never ult on top of the ADC because they're just waiting the ult out before they go in. Here's the difference. That's the thing, as ADC you need to be very patient.
But then when they build things like steel caps or bruiser items, they become infinitely harder to kill, and they make my job way harder as a bruiser. So I thought going into this challenge that if I played ADCs like bruisers, and I just built them kind of tanky, then I'd be able to breeze through every elo and 1v9 every game.
Also another thing, he talks about like ADC building tank, making his job easier. If you're a bruiser, is your job to kill the enemy ADC? I feel like that's the job of an assassin, you know? Bruiser is more of a mix, you have different roles, you can hit the mages, the ADCs, the tanks, you should also be able to deal damage, especially like a Black Cleaver. So it's not necessarily your job to kill the ADC, it's not always about the ADC, there's five members in a team, not just one, right?
Let's just say I got a bit of a reality check. In lower elos, even though I did lose a lot of games initially, the games did feel kind of easy. I would have way more deaths than anybody would ever think is acceptable for ADC players, but I was still able to maintain high-ish win rates of about 60% because my mechanics in team fighting were just really good.
Yeah, and I feel like if you give him and me and anybody that's got Challenger in their lives, or at least Master Elo, you put them in Bronze with Soraka ADC buying crit, they will win, even if they're not an ADC main, because, hey, they know a lot about the game, they know where to be, mechanics are good, of course, makes a lot of sense, right?
Yes, sometimes I would go in too early and end. Yes, a lot of the times I would get caught out on side lane, but in the games where I would actually play the team fights properly, my spacing was good enough that I was able to solo carry quite a few games the second mid-game started approaching. So with that,
I think that's only because he got ahead in the early game. But
we'll talk about rule 1 of being an ADC. Comebacks are possible.
Hell yeah! I mean, it's not just an ADC, right? I think in general comebacks are possible. What do you mean?
Biggest thing that I learned about being an ADC player for a little while is that if your laning phase goes badly, it does not mean the game is over.
Yeah, exactly.
Since AD carries are typically expected to position well and play off their teammates engage and play off other people going in, it makes it so that you'll have quite a few opportunities within a game where if you can just bide your time, you can find a random triple kill, get enough gold through shutdowns to get more gold than the enemy AD carry, and then from that point on just take over the entire game.
You don't even need to have more gold than the AD carry. Like if you play Jinx, for example, I mean, you get your Yundal, Infinity, Lord Dominix. Oh my god, you're slapping them. You're destroying them now. It's like you deal so much damage. Don't even need ADC will be full build or 3 items. You're still useful. This is the fun part.
The amount of games where I was literally going 0-8, 0-9, but I would be able to find that one team fight that just gave me shutdowns that put me ahead of the enemy ADC would probably account for about 40 to 50% of my wins. And this builds into point 2. Mental is the most important thing.
Oh, that's very true. Like you gotta be patient. You gotta have good mentality. If you rush, you do too many bad things, and you just flame teammates, and you don't understand what's happening, you're not gonna have a good time.
I'm gonna stand up for this because I really need to go in depth on what I'm about to say, but if you actually listen to what I'm gonna say, you'll probably agree.
Okay.
When you're playing ADC, one of the issues...
I can see your face anymore, bro. Like you need a webcam that can do this. You stand up, alright? Hey, look, it goes like okay, never mind. It's positioned badly, but you move to the side. It should follow you. Wait, my webcam. Hello, I zoom in. Okay, there we go. Look, it's following me. Look at that. Oh my god, It's following me. You see? It needs something like this, Dantes. It's probably gonna help you if you stand up with that. Anyway, let's go back. Sorry about that.
Is that you're not going to have a lot of control over the early stages of the game. And this is one of the big points about being an ADC player. Point 2. Your early game impact is only limited to your lane. You cannot roam in the same way that support can. You cannot shove and roam in the same way that a mid laner can. You cannot make TP plays in the same way that top laner can.
Yes and no. When it comes to shoving and going, you can definitely shove the wave and go mid for a roam sometimes, or go in the jungle. I think that you can definitely do. Of course, you can roam non-stop like that. Yeah, you can. But yeah, I agree. In the early game as an ADC, there's less options in general. That's 100% true.
And you also cannot gank the same way a jungler can. As a result, the early stages of your game are going to be very limited in terms of what options you really have. Because the only thing you can actually do is walk to lane. And this is going to make it very frustrating when the enemy jungler is going to path top, or your support is going to roam and the enemy support doesn't. Because
yes, you're just sitting alone, you can't do much. So you need to adapt, right? When it comes to patience and not being tilted in mentality as ADC, you need to adapt to what your teammates are doing. I feel like that's basically like the most important skill. If you can't adapt to what teammates are doing, you do your own thing, independent from your teammates. You're going to die 1v2, you're going to get dived, you're going to farm a wave and die, you're just going to do nothing. You can't.
What's going to end up happening is you're going to feel like there's nothing you can do. But the truth is that every role is like that. Yes, even though junglers and mid laners can get roams and do crazy shit in games that allow them to get leads, the amount that you actually gain from that isn't a game-winning margin that's going to break or make different roles. The number one characteristic that every single ADC has to possess if they actually want to win games is mental fortitude. And that's, believe it or not, the reason why I've been losing a lot of games from the time I've been Diamond.
Yeah, honestly, I feel like every role has different things they gotta worry about, you know? And if you excel at certain things, the role is better for you. I'm a very patient person, I don't get tilted. I like to adapt to what my teammates are doing. I don't judge them, I never flame them. I understand they make mistakes. ADC is perfect for me. And when it comes to his mentality and how his attitude is, the jungle Hecarim is perfect for him, right? That's the thing.
When you see your support roaming, you are not allowed hitting the wave. When you see your jungler pathing top, you do not want to engage the enemy. But my issue is that I always want to fight. I want to fight, I want to outplay, I want to outtrade.
And I feel like another thing that he's not doing correctly ever, he's never like controlling the wave either. His jungle, he does not control the wave. He's playing against Blitzcrank here. I see him playing constantly in the enemy turret. What are you doing? Blitz loves that. You can do that. Well, play on your side against him.
And anytime I see things on my screen, I just want to kill them. If you're the same as me in that regard, then I am telling you, ADC is not really for you.
I agree with that.
You need to actually choose.
I mean, if you play Draven maybe, but even as Draven, like even Draven likes items, or Russian, right? They like items. It's not like they want to end the game in 3 minutes. They like to get items and deal more damage. It's not like they're useless late game. So even with those champions, you need to have patience as an ADC.
Your fights properly, and most of the time farming consistently is the best way to win in the mid game. But the problem is that that's also a very boring approach to League of Legends.
It's boring in a way because it doesn't look flashy. But when you are in the moment, staying mid, Twitch exists, everything exists, Nocturne ult exists, you don't go for the wave, you wait for the wave to be pushed into you, you do that for 5 minutes, it looks very boring. But because you did that, now Nocturne ult is somewhere else, and now you pop off, that's how you carry the games. With patience. It doesn't look flashy, but it's very big brain. And I feel like that's such a cool thing about ADC. You don't need to be flashy to do well. You have to be very careful and play like a rat. Be as annoying as possible to the enemies. Just don't die. Survive. Be a cockroach. No matter what happens, you always come back. That's what you need to be.
Sitting bot lane farming and trying not to die isn't really the exciting league experience that most players would hope for. And as someone who's been a jungle main for years and always loved the idea of going for ganks, going for 2v2, 3v3 plays and all this stuff, it's one of the things that I've been struggling very hard to adapt to.
And I feel like this also, when it comes to like your personality, there's something cool about this. For example, I don't like fighting games. I don't. They're annoying. I feel like I'm mashing my buttons. I don't really like shooters. I'm just fighting constantly, headshot, wow. And they do the same to me. It's like too much action, too much craziness. I like slower games, right? So I most of the time play League. But when I'm not playing League, I'm not streaming, I'm not making content about it, what do I play? I play like survival crafting games, automation games. So I play like Minecraft, Terraria, Valheim, Factorio, Satisfactory, games like this. Are just very sandbox, very like slower paced. You can do whatever you want. There's not constant fight, constant combat. And that's why, like, also, right, ADC is the perfect role for me. But I feel like Dantes, when he's not playing, he's not playing League, I feel like he would play fighter games or shooters. You know, that maybe that's what he does. So I feel like that also reflects the role that's made for you, which is very interesting.
Instead of being a playmaker, you have to be reactionary in the majority of cases. And if you're not, the higher you climb, the worse it's gonna get. My playstyle of just side laning, all-inning, and perma-fighting worked for me until I got to Diamond. And then once I got to Diamond, I would actually be able to solo lose games for my teams in the games where I dropped 5, 6, 7 deaths by 15 minutes. That's when things start to go really badly. But this doesn't necessarily mean that ADC is a weak role. It just means that there are different power dynamics for different roles. A jungler can make plays early game that gets his team a winning lead, but if in the mid game the jungler's team refuses to collapse on objectives or they don't clear out waves
Bro, I just want to pause, like, bro, his mechanics are good. I'm looking at these fights here, bro, he played this really well.
fast enough to enable him, then the jungler's game will be unplayable at a certain point as well. So the trade-off of ADC is that even though early game, you're weak and you're susceptible to having a bunch of things happen that are going to make your game feel hard to play, once you approach to the mid game and the laning phase actually ends, everyone's existence revolves around you, which...
Yeah, and your mid lane, you grab the waves mid, you have prio across the map. The game just opens up. It's in a way like chess. Chess in the early game is very like the same moves are possible, there's not that many options. But as the game opens up, you reach mid-game, whoa, you know, you put the ADC in the middle of the board, and now we can go anywhere, like a knight in chess, right? It's crazy.
Which means that the cards are in your hand. Your team will want to peel you. The enemy team will want to focus you. And the entire game will revolve around which team's ADC is going to die first. So it isn't necessarily...
Yes and no. Again, it's 5 people in a team. It's not always about the ADC. But ADC is the role that buys damage and no defense. So you wanna, you know, kill the enemy ADC because they deal the damage. And if the enemies don't have damage, you win the fight. So it makes sense, right? That the game revolves around the damage dealer. It makes a lot of sense.
That ADC is a weaker role than jungle, for example, is. It's just that ADC players have to be a lot more patient than junglers do in the early stages of the game, so that they can actually get to the point where their mid to late game matters. But listen.
But even mid to late game, you still have to be patient. Hecarim has ulti, you can't really go in yet. Hold on, wait a sec. Yeah, you gotta be patient.
As a jungler main talking to all the ADCs out there, yes, if your jungler paths top, he is fucking trolling. Jungler should path...
Jungler's pathing top is running. I mean, I feel like it kind of depends. You know, like, it's really annoying when jungler paths top. But personally, when that happens, I'll try to keep the wave on my side. Try to get some vision and just chill. Hold on, let's not die. My jungler is top, let's not die. When he comes bot, okay, we try to make plays. So you can't expect your jungler to just gank bot and be bot non-stop. It's not realistic. You just need to learn to adapt and play accordingly to your jungler's position in the early game. It's very important.
bot every single game, and if they don't, you have my permission to flame them for not doing it.
Look, I agree with everything so far, pretty much. But why are you telling people to flame? That's not good. Why do you give people a permission to flame? I feel like that's so toxic for absolutely no reason. I don't agree with this. Don't do this. Don't flame people. The moment you flame somebody in League, the chances of you losing that game go down. And that's a fact.
Before we get into the itemization, which is going to be the biggest topic of this video by far, I do want to expand a little bit on the jungle problem. So once again, before starting the ADC challenge, I would always talk about how ADCs were whiny crybabies, but the truth is that the way that they whine and they cry when it comes to how the game is played is oftentimes correct. Most of the games are going to come down to whichever team gets soul wins the game. So when the enemy jungler's pathing bot and getting their bot lane ahead, and they have 2 dragons by...
Yeah, I mean, I feel like this has to do with people not thinking in the future most of the time. A lot of people like live and just think short term. You know, shorter gains. I want to buy this because I'm going to make me happy now instead of investing money for the future. In early game, in League, let's get a Drake now, and we get second Drake, we get the third Drake. Oh, it's not that much power. It's like the Void Grabs or like the Herald. It's not instant power. But those Drakes, after you get a few of them, it's like, oh my god, now we have the soul pressure on them. And 70 to 80% of the teams that get soul actually win. So it's just crazy if you play for soul.
20 minutes, and your top laner just got your Malphite top 1 kill. That guy is so losing the game for your entire team. The real reason why bot lane is the most impactful role has to do with dragons. Once you approach the mid game, then it makes it so that you need to play for win conditions if you actually want to end the game. Because just walking mid and hitting the wave isn't good enough with the amount of wave clear in the game. As a result, dragons are the one insurance policy that can win you every single game, because when you have 2 to 3, playing for soul is good enough that it can legitimately win you the game.
And on top of this, if you're behind and you manage to get a Drake, that's extra 5 minutes for you to scale until enemies get soul. And that's insane. 5 minutes is a lot. You could get almost a full item in that time.
So when your jungler pats top and the enemy jungler pats bot, the real issue isn't the fact that your bot lane is gonna die. It's the fact that the enemy jungler is gonna prio dragons and your team isn't. Yes, bot lane does account for 40% of the team since there are 2 players in it, but the real strength of it is just how close they are to the drags. Getting a good gank bot off and then afterwards transitioning that into a dragon play is legitimately a strategy that any novice level jungler could employ and easily get them to diamond. So do I think that junglers should be skipping their entire camp to randomly dive the enemy bot lane? No. But not pathing bot is an extremely bad habit that every jungler needs to get out of their mind, because dragons are broken and you need to play for them.
Yeah, like Drakes are definitely very, very good. But I mean, there are exceptions. Like you don't always have to path bot. It's not always. But it's probably going to be better on average, if you ask me.
So now it's going to be time for the main part of the video that you guys are all waiting for.
All right.
Itemization. One of the biggest claims that I made when I first started this challenge was that ADCs itemized like garbage. They would build full crit, they would build Berserker's Greaves, and then they would wonder why the enemy assassin one-shots them.
I feel like that's called skill issue and positioning issue and impatient issue, not build issue. I feel like the same as you can't like outrun a bad diet. If you try to go running to lose weight and you have a bad diet, you will not lose weight. It's not possible. You know? And it's the same in League. It doesn't matter what you build if you have such a bad habit of just not positioning properly, not having patience. That's the bad diet. You need to fix that first. Then work on like the builds and everything, you know, then we optimize the build a little bit and so on.
Well, after playing this role for 400 games, I can confidently say that although I was right about certain things, I was also wrong about others. Let me explain.
Okay.
When it comes to ADCs building Berserker's Greaves, I think this is the worst thing you could ever do on any ADC, and the reason why is simple. A lot of the time, as an ADC, you're going to want to farm waves. You're either going to want to be bot lane so that you can catch the wave before crashing into turret, you're going to want to be mid lane so you can shove out the wave before an objective, or you're going to be rotating to different lanes after winning your own. What this means is that a lot of the time, there are going to be situations where you are unprotected. If your support is...
Yes. But when you're unprotected, you gotta look at the map and kind of analyze what's happening around you and make a decision accordingly. Like if the mid wave is dangerous, there's Twitch exists in the game, you don't take mid wave first. You let Twitch push it first, then get it.
Roaming, if your jungler's on the other side of the map, if you don't know where the enemy team is, a lot is left up to chance. But in the same grain of thought, you're also going to have a lot of situations where you and the enemy ADC are in this 1v1 scenario. If both supports roam and both ADCs are left balling, then you're 1v1 versus the enemy ADC.
Yes, it happens quite a bit.
If the jungler decides to try and kill you while his balling's on reset, then you're 1v1 against the enemy jungler. And this scenario, more often than not, is going to happen in your games. And the issue with Berserker's Greaves is that Greaves don't actually give you any survivability whatsoever. Berserker's Greaves are going to increase your damage output slightly with the attack speed, and it's going to feel really good to have. But the truth is that if you have a Jinx that has Yuntal versus Steel Caps, or Jinx that has Yuntal versus Greaves, then she will always be able to win the side lane or the 1v1 versus a non-overfed jungler or an enemy ADC that itemized Greaves more.
Say that to playing against Twitch. Say that to playing Jinx against Draven. Say that to playing Jinx against Lucian, Jinx against Kai'Sa, Jinx against Ashe. Doesn't matter what you buy, you're not gonna win a 1v1. You need to play around your champion strengths. Like if you play Jinx, you need to play around your long range. Don't let enemies get into your range. If they outrange you like a Caitlyn, you're not winning the 1v1. You can buy whatever the heck you want. You're not winning the 1v1. And when it's very close, and you buy Berserkers and you win, so not Berserkers, armor boots, and you win, you just go face first and you right click and you win because you have more stats. But that's not how you play ADC. You're supposed to play around your strengths and weaknesses, not rely on stats alone.
More often than not. Especially since most ADCs don't build any armor pen until their third or even fourth item, getting Tabby will be enough oftentimes to give you the deciding amount of tankiness that is going to solo win you fights in 1v1 or even 2v2 settings.
But you win a 1v1 because you got armor boots, you're very clever, and then the next team fight that happens, you just don't deal enough damage because you didn't have the extra attack speed. I'm just saying. It's very easy to look at things from one side but forget about the other side. Like, for example, you buy Yuntal versus Collector. Somebody escapes 10 HP. You're like, oh my god, Collector would have killed here. Why did I buy Yuntal? But you forget about the fact that Yuntal deals more damage, more DPS. So if you bought Collector in that place, enemy would not be 10 HP. Enemy would be like 400 HP after the fight because you dealt less damage to them. So the execute actually wouldn't have mattered, you know. And it's the same here as ADC. You got the Ninja Tabi, whatever you call them, like the armor boots. And yeah, you won the 1v1, congrats. But what about the next fight? You don't have as much DPS. And another cool thing to I analyzed Dantes' game once. I saw how he played one game. I made a video about it. In games where he buys like tank items, when he's losing the fights, he's dead. When he's winning the fights, he is full HP. Like, tankiness just doesn't matter. You die or you win, full HP. There's very rarely any in between. Except 1v1s, but you're not really supposed to take 1v1s in ADC. That's why you go mid. You go mid, you're safe. You take the wave, no problem. Everybody's kind of around you. Not like in the early game, yeah, you might, support my roam top for grabs or herald or whatever. But then it's like you 1v1 the enemy ADC, you don't have to. You just wait for the wave to push into you. Grab the wave, good job, let's go, we scale. Or you push a wave and you rotate as well. Or if they freeze on you, you just leave, go somewhere else. Let the enemy ADC roam for free. Freeze and you just do something else with your team, 5v4. So there's always a different option besides 1v1 against ADC. And I feel like that's what he gets wrong. If there's somebody in your lane not allowing you to play, you don't have to play. You can look for something else. You don't have to 1v1. And I feel like that's so hard to understand for non-ADC players.
Now, obviously, there are exceptions if the enemy goes double mage bot, which is broken as fuck, by the way, or if you're in this 1v3 scenario, but I'm telling you that itemizing defensive boots the majority of the time is going to increase your win rate. Because you'll make it so that you won't get one shot by the people trying to dive you.
I mean, look. You say that, okay? But you got banned. You're stuck. You can't climb anymore with your armor boots. Meanwhile, you have challenger players, challenger ADCs buying attack speed boots. They're challenger, you know. I'm just saying, okay? I'm just saying. If you say this, then prove it. You're not proving it. You're a challenger player in Diamond. You're not proving it. That's the problem. You know, put your money where your mouth is, or whatever they call it. Right? That's how it is.
And you're also going to have a defensive edge when you and the enemies are all in each other. So for defense...
Yeah, basically like 1v1 happens once or twice a game. Fights happen at least 5 times a game. Do you itemize for the 2 times a game or for the 5 times a game? That's basically it. Right? You want a full damage.
Boots for ADC, I think I was right. But now, what about itemization? Part of the problem with being an ADC is that the majority of the time, if you only build one crit item, it's not enough for you to actually do damage.
Yeah, you have to basically crit builds on top of crit. Crit power scaling is not, let's do it from this angle, yes. Crit scaling is not this, it's not this, it's not that, it's not linear. Crit scaling is kind of like, it's very exponential. You buy one crit item, whatever. 2 items, okay. 3 items, oh my god, 4 items, giga damage. That's the thing. You play a mage is more linear, maybe a spiked Rabadon, but very linear. That's the difference between crit. On hit items, super linear.
You need to. Something that I've learned over the course of my climb as an ADC player is that when it comes to crit items, there are only 3 good items. You have
Yontal, Infinity, Lord Dominic's. That's it. And then zeal items on specific champions like Zaya, Tristana with Navori. Oh my god, so good. Navori is so good for them because they deal most of the damage with abilities. And then you have Runan for Jinx. Like, Runan for Jinx is amazing. After you got Yuntal, Infinity, Lord Dominic's, right? Because those are the 3 best, no matter what, really.
Infinity Edge, Lord Dom's Regards, and Yuntal.
Okay, he agrees, okay.
Zeal item is trash.
Not every zeal item is trash. Every zeal item is worse than Infinity, Lord Dominic's, Yuntal. But after you got those 3 items, a zeal item is actually very nice. If your champion benefits from it. I wish, you know, they did something where like they nerf Infinity, they remove some crit damage from Infinity, they give some crit damage to zeal items. Just an idea, I don't know, that would be cool. I feel like zeal items just don't have stats. You buy zeal item because you already got your stats, and now you just want to finish crit really quickly because they're cheap, and you want the passive from zeal items, which is massive. Ronan on Jinx can legit double your damage, it's insane. And Navori on champions like Tristana, Zaya, again, double your damage basically. But only after you got the important items first.
Talk a little bit more about that later. And items like, let's say, Collector get outvalued by LDR, so they're not even worth building. Part of the issue...
I mean, Collector is good on some champs. But as first item. You don't compare Collector to Lord Dominic's. I feel like that's so wrong. Why are you comparing those? You should compare Collector to a starter item like Essence River or Yuntal. That's what you should be comparing it to. If you don't need attack speed, Yuntal is not as good, go Collector. Like something like a Caitlyn, they have no tanks in the enemy team, you don't need Yuntal, you can go Collector. It's perfectly okay to do that.
Issue with playing ADC is that you are always going to be hitting what you are in range of hitting, which is the enemy front line. If you do not have any armor pen built by your 3rd item, then you are going to be legitimately worthless.
Completely agree with this, because people, for some reason, they wait so long, they buy Lord Dominic's 4th item. No, Lord Dominic's should be 3rd, maximum, right? You buy your starter item Yuntal, and then like Infinity Lord Dominic's, boom, done. You never buy like Yuntal, Infinity, Runan, Lord Dominic's. No, you gotta buy Lord Dominic's as soon as possible. Very important.
because you won't be able to damage any tank or bruiser that has steel caps or Randuins. But in the same grain of thought process as well, part of the issue too is that once you're at 3 items, so is the enemy team. And if they have a Nocturne that's gonna ult on you, or a LeBron that's gonna try assassinating you, then you will not even be able to get an auto attack off before dying.
Yeah, because you don't position well, not because you didn't buy defensives. Okay? Let's be clear.
So that's the reason why on champions like Sivir, for example, I go Yantao into Infinity Edge, and then afterwards I get Cleaver, because it gives me the resistances that I need, so that even if I get dove by the enemy, I'm still able to survive.
But what do you mean it gives you the resistances? Black Cleaver gives you a bit of HP. Is that gonna not gonna survive? No, it's just...
And while people might talk a lot about positioning this, positioning that,
Okay, yeah, that's me.
the truth is that you cannot position against a cannon's flash ult.
Yeah, you can. What do you mean you can't? What? What do you mean you cannot? Cannon has ultimate flash, you know it. Why are you showing? You need to be in Fog of War. Why are you showing? I don't understand. What do you mean?
You cannot position against a Nocturne ulting on top of you.
Yes, you can be in Fog of War. It's not that hard. What do you mean?
Or is that flashing from Fog of War and ulting on you?
Yeah, why are you not Fog in War? Why is he in Fog of War and you're not? Hello? What? You need to be aware of the enemy position as an ADC. It's a skill you gotta develop. You can't ignore it. You can't out-build it. Yeah, I mean, you buy a GA last item because they have 3 assassins. But, you know, so you can maybe make a mistake because you're not perfect. But that's the thing with ADC. You sign up to play a role that's very high risk, very high reward. Play very good, you kill everybody. You make a mistake, oh well, you die. That's the role. You need to accept it. No matter what you build, it's not gonna change it. Except last item. Because that's when you already got your crit, you deal tons of damage, you have that high risk, high reward already. And you can buy a GA to be able to make maybe one mistake. But if you buy it before 100% crit, what's gonna happen is you're probably not gonna have enough damage to kill the front line, so you don't get reward. You're only high risk, or like maybe lower risk, lower reward, you know? Not as good.
So the kind of TLDR that I found on playing ADC has been itemize 2 to maybe even 3 offensive items if you can afford to when the enemy team doesn't have dive. Like, for example, Infinity Edge, Yantao, and then LDR. And then once you get those items, itemize defensively. You will not...
I mean, again, like, you say that, but you're stuck in Diamond, okay? And I'm not saying Diamond is bad. But Diamond is bad for a Challenger player. That's what I'm saying, okay? You're in Challenger, you are stuck in Diamond now. It's not good. Why? Because your items are not good. Your playstyle is not good. You rely too much on items, defensives. And let's talk about a scenario where, okay, you think you need defensives because they have assassins, they have so much dive. Right? What's stopping you from buying Shield Bow instead of Lord Dominic's or Black Cleaver? You don't have Infinity Edge? Shield Bow. Assassins that dive, you don't have the defenses anyway. You don't need armor pen, maybe. So you can go Shield Bow third to still get crit out of it. Shield Bow is actually a decent item in games where they have so much dive and assassins. The Shield Bow gives you the shield to survive the burst and gives you enough damage and crit to just kill the assassin as well, because there's a problem with ADC all the times. If you buy defensives only, you did survive the burst. Yeah, but the enemy assassin is alive. You didn't kill him now. And that's a big problem. It's gonna burst you again. It's not good. Right?
But drastically alter your damage output if you go something like, for example, Navori, versus if you build something like Hexplate. But what you will be doing is you're making us at the end.
I feel like he just said something very, very wrong. Hexplate is more DPS than Navori? What? Did you even go in practice tool to try DPS? I think he never did. Oh no.
Enemy team's job of one-shotting you becomes infinitely harder. And now we'll talk a little bit about Zeal items, the worst class of items in the...
But the funny thing is that if you go defensives, right? You have less damage and you can survive a burst. Enemy assassins will just go after your mid lane Hui. Kill them. They don't even have to waste burst on you anymore because you're not a threat anymore. So this is the thing. You know, it's crazy.
entire game. If there's one thing that I want you to know before playing ADC, or I want you to know if you do play ADC, it's that you should never, ever, ever build any of these items. Exceptions might be that if you want to get a late game item as Runans as your literal 6th item, or if you want to itemize Runans because you're itemizing Cleaver and you want to benefit from armor pen on a bunch of people, then
Oh no. You want to benefit from armor pen a bunch of people. You could just buy Lord Dominic's instead of Black Cleaver. Runan Lord Dominic's benefits on a bunch of people. I don't get it. So I feel like building items on certain games, like they have assassins, you buy more defensive, that's okay. But they have a lot of frontline, you buy no defensive, you buy as much damage as you can to kill those frontlines. That's good, right? And I feel like what he's saying is saying buy tank items every game. I feel like buying a tank item is okay 1 in 20 games maybe. When they actually have 3 assassins. And that's it. Besides, I should go full DPS. That's the thing.
go for it. But if you're going items like Navori, if you're going items like Phantom Dancer or Rapid Fire Cannon, you are trolling.
So if you go Phantom Dancer, you are trolling. Above your head here, what is above your head?
Items like
You're buying Zeal.
Phantom Dancer
Phantom Dancer.
or Rapid
So, we caught him, guys. He's self-reported. He is trolling. No wonder he got banned. No wonder. Yeah, makes sense.
Fire Cannon, you are trolling. When you build an item that gives you AD, like Experimental Hexplate, for example, which gives you 40. What ends up happening is that if you have 3 crit items and then you build Experimental Hexplate, you're getting 40 AD. Your 200% crit ends up bringing this to an extra 80 damage per auto, and the Infinity Edge amplification is going to turn this from 80 into about 100 to 110 bonus damage per auto.
Well, yeah, buying attack damage makes your crits hit harder. But ever thought about, you know, going from 70% crit chance to 100? I feel like that's a bit better, no?
Itemizing items like Navori or Phantom Dancer feel awful because the problem is that you lose damage when you build them. And don't even...
Not really. You'd be surprised. If you buy them like 4th crit item, no. They actually give you solid damage, give you movement speed, which is nice. Attack speed, which feels good as well. And yes, buying another, like, even if you buy instead of Runan, you buy, I don't know, Collector or something. Yes, the attack damage is nice. You know, it's great to have attack damage, it's more damage. But in a real game, it's not always about pure DPS, right? And also, buying an item like Runan on Jinx, single target damage makes no sense, but in a normal fight, and you know, sometimes it's gonna be crazy. Buying an item like Navori, buy Navori on like Sivir, that's huge. Besides the extra movement speed that gives you as well. Synergy does really well with her kit. She's short range, she wants mobility. That's the thing. It's not always about pure DPS. I feel about some other things as well.
even get me started on if you itemize them before a 3rd item, because bruisers and tanks will require you to get an LDR. So if you're going Yuntown to Infinity Edge and then you decide to get Runans on Twitch or Zeri, you will do 0 damage to their tanks.
Yeah, but I feel like this is it's a problem with Riot crit item system right now. I feel like Yuntal, Infinity, Lord Dominics are just too good compared to every other item. You don't really have other options. And then you, like Infinity and Lord Dominics, I feel like you can't really buy the like LDR before Infinity. If enemies have tanks, why can't you buy Lord Dominics second? Well, because then you just don't deal less damage. Because Infinity is just that good. It's kind of annoying. You know, you can still buy LDR second sometimes right now, but I feel like Infinity is just better. It's just so good. You buy Infinity, then buy Crit Cloak, oh my god, damage. You buy Infinity, you buy Last Whisper. Oh my god, big damage. You buy Lord Dominic second, you buy BF. less damage than Infinity and Last Whisper, right? So that's the thing. Riot needs to balance items a bit better so they are very close in power. Infinity is at the top, then you have Lord Omnix, Yuntal, then you have every other item below. It's kind of weird. You need to have them more similar in power, so actually you can make meaningful choices. And I feel like this is Riot's fault here when it comes to itemization. They need to do better and give you like Shilbo, for example, make it more attractive sometimes. So actually go for Shilbo crit defensive item instead of tank item, you know?
You will do 0 damage to the front line, and you're just going to be tickling them and praying that your team does something.
And by the way, when he's playing Vayne, Vayne deals percentage damage, true damage with his W. So on Vayne and Kog'Maw that have percentage damage, for example, yeah, buying a tank item makes a lot of sense. Like Rando, you know, Kog'Maw goes harder on Vayne, or yeah, like, you know, those are different champions, right? But I feel like he's giving these advices like a general thing for ADCs. If you play Jinx, go buy Omen, Rando in Omen, see what happens. It's not gonna be good.
So an item like, let's say, Runance can sometimes be good on some champions as a last item, but Phantom Dance or Rapid Fire, and even Navori, should never be itemized.
But like Rapid Fire on Draven, on Lucian, or Caitlyn, they're amazing. What do you mean? They're actually so good. That extra range can mean a lot. Yeah, it's less DPS than something else. But again, the Zeal items provide you that active, that's the like passive effect, whatever you want to call it, that makes the difference, makes up for the lost stats, you know? That's the thing with Zeal items. But I feel like they need to be balanced a little bit better. They need to be a bit stronger. I feel like they need to be maybe a bit more expensive, with a bit more power, a bit more stats. And that's just me.
Because you just lose way too much damage when you do. And I know some people are going to say, well, you're going to attack a bit faster. It doesn't even matter. The difference between 1.2 and 1.5 attack speed over an 8-second long fight is going to be maybe 1 or 2 autos. But imagine
It's more than that, you'd be surprised.
6 autos where you're getting that bonus 100 to 150 damage. The DPS difference is way more.
And I think it's forgetting about the crit chance as well.
And for anyone that wants to push this Navori, Untrasun, or Sivir propaganda, just stop.
Again, prove it. If you think it's that good, prove it. It's not. People are climbing with Navori. You don't buy Navori, you're not climbing. I mean, do you need more evidence? I'm sorry. I'm just being realistic here, okay? Hopefully I'm not too harsh. I just want to, you know, not spread misinformation without evidence. Whenever I share a build on Jinx or something, I always use it. And I show you, hey, it's good. It works. I'm climbing. You know, I never like share something and I'm just demoting and I'm getting banned like he is. You know, I'm just saying.
ADC fights are not going to be lasting 8 seconds anyways. By the time your Q or your W run out, the fight is already over. So playing to have permanent uptime is a fake thing that doesn't
I mean, the fight is over. Why? Because you died too quick, because you don't know how to position. Again, sorry.
even exist. But wait!
Oh my
Before
god,
you
those
click off, there's one last thing I need to say. My account wasn't permanently banned. It was only rank restricted, and in order to unlock the account from being rank restricted, I need to play 3 normal games. So what I'm going to be doing is on Monday, I'm going to be calling in the help of a friend, Kadeem, and with his challenger normal level of skill, he's going to help me unlock the account from being rank restricted. So the ADC arc will
What? I don't understand. You need help playing 3 normal games? What? What is he smoking?
not end here. I will still continue to play it. I will be interspersing jungle here and there as well though, because I did find this new insanely broken hacker mode this weekend that I'm going to be making a video soon about.
Alright, that's good. You should do that. You're the hackering guy. Come on. Do it. Go.
Now that I managed to have a little bit of a mental reset from ADC, I feel like I'm actually willing to take it serious again and fall back in line of what my true intention was with the climb.
So are you actually gonna buy proper items and learn to position? That'll be cool to see.
So crazy.
Because I actually want to see how high you can get on ADC if he actually tries and plays properly. That's what I want to see, you know. I want to support him trying ADC. Why not?
League content coming up with a little bit of variety too, so stay tuned for that. But thank you guys all for watching the video. I might make a part 2 in the future if I do end up hitting Masters, so stay tuned for all that as well. Anyways, thank you guys for tuning in. Like the video if you haven't, sub if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys all for the next.
Should I like the video? I'm not gonna dislike it. I'm like in the middle. I'm not gonna like it, not gonna dislike it. I feel like he said some things that are valid with patience and everything like that about the ADC role. But, you know, he talks about patience and yet he doesn't want to position properly. I feel like positioning properly has to do a lot with patience and you're not doing it. Yeah, right? It's kind of, yeah, you know. So yeah, don't listen and don't watch Dantes for ADC advice. Watch him for entertainment. I feel like he's very entertaining. He's funny and he's loud and a lot of people like that. A lot of people do. Watch him for that, but don't watch him for guides and builds because it's probably not good. You might get bad yourself as well. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Cool. Hopefully, yeah, I'll see you next time. I don't know what to say. Goodbye. Take care. Bye. Take care.